The Bird's Eye Town Marshal passes away. Purdue Extension brings us a special presentation on the basics of soil health and sports with Kurt Gooksell. Those stories and much more are up next here on 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. In your news, the town of Bird's Eye is mourning the loss of its town marshal. 69-year-old Robert Jenkins passed away at his home on Monday. Jenkins, who had been battling lung cancer, had served as town marshal since January of 1994. Jenkins was retired from Norfolk Southern Railroad by the time he became town marshal. He had served off and on as a deputy marshal in the years prior to that. Jenkins was a master mason and past master of Bethlehem Lodge No. 574 F&AM in Bird's Eye. In 2008, the Jasper Jaycees named Jenkins their organization's Outstanding Law Enforcement Officer, stating the award was not limited to just those living and working in Jasper. Jenkins was nominated by several area police and conservation officers who cited the lawman's knowledge of the area and his willingness to help anytime in any situation. The Bird's Eye Town Council will meet on Tuesday to decide on a course of action in the wake of Jenkins' death. Jenkins' wife Carolyn Andry passed away in March of this year. Last night's round of thunderstorms produced heavy rain and strong winds that caused a few problems across the county. DuBois County Sheriff's deputies say most of the damage across the county happened in the area to the southwest of Ireland, where several trees and power lines were knocked down. Deputies also say a small farm on the southwest side of Ireland had 4 large grain bins that were destroyed in the storms. Flash flooding in the DuBois area was also reported by sheriff's deputies. Across other counties in the area, Pike County had reports of funnel clouds forming, but there is no confirmation of a tornado ever touching down. Martin County had several power outages and trees down reported. Downed tree limbs and flooding were reported in Orange County, including some roads being closed for stretches due to the high water. 3.5 inches of rain fell in 30 minutes in Odin up in Davies County, and Greene County reported downed tree limbs, power lines, and some flooding. Cooler and drier air is on the way for your weekend. Your 18 WJTS Reliable Forecast is coming up later in this newscast. Workers at Crane Division, Naval Service Warfare Center, and Naval Support Activity Crane soon will see the effects of across-the-board cuts to the federal budget that was implemented in March. Unions that represent workers say starting on July 8th, 1 day will be cut from their work week for the rest of the fiscal year, which ends in September. The reduction, known as a furlough, equates to a 20% reduction in workers' pay. Known as the sequester, the federal cuts were designed to slash $85 billion from the federal budget this year by cutting jobs and government programs, including in education, health, and defense. A part of that was a $36 million reduction in funding for Crane NSWC, which is a part of the U.S. Navy and employs more than 4,000 civilians, including about 70 residents of DuBois County. The unions said in their statement that during this furlough, the number of firefighters and police officers at the naval base also will be decreased, which could cause a severe security and possibly life risk. Union reps said in addition, the Burns City gate to the naval base will be closed, causing a major impact to 231 as vehicles back up at the Crane gate from Lagodi to Bloomfield. 2 people were injured and 1 person was sent to the hospital following an accident in Jasper yesterday afternoon. Jasper police say 86-year-old Lawrence Persone of Jasper was eastbound on 9th Street, approaching the Newton Street intersection just before 4 p.m. when the accident took place. Police say a second vehicle, driven by 54-year-old George Godey of Jasper, was northbound on Newton Street, approaching the intersection with 9th Street in the west northbound lane. Godey told police he had the green light for quite some time. Persone told police that he ran the red light and entered the intersection. Godey's vehicle hit the passenger side of Persone's vehicle. Persone suffered minor cuts to his hands and face, and he was transported to Memorial Hospital for treatment. Godey complained of pain in his chest and arm, but was not taken to the hospital. Both vehicles suffered about $3,500 worth of damage. Persone was cited for disregarding an automatic signal. A new in-home healthcare services center is now open in Jasper. Adaptive Companion Care Services Incorporated held a ribbon cutting yesterday at its new Jasper location. Owner Mike Root says the business has already been open for a couple of months now. The new Adaptive Companion Care Services Center is located across the street from Hampton Inn along 3rd Avenue. Staff members at the center go into the homes of their clients and do standard duties such as cooking, assistance with grooming, transportation, and companionship so that their clients can live at home and remain independent. Assistance with nursing is also available. The Jasper branch is the third branch in Indiana to open up to this point, joining locations in Jeffersonville and Columbus. Raths says there was a need for an office further west in the state, thus facilitating the opening of the Jasper facility. Raths says he is currently hiring more staff with the hopes of eventually having 30 to 40 employees working at the Jasper location. The Jasper branch will be open from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. For more information, you can call the office at 817-0753 or email them at jasperoffice@adaptivenursing.com. Anyone interested in applying for a job at the new center can go to adaptivenursing.com to do so. A Schnellville man has recently been bestowed with a First Responders Hero Award. Dave Mitchell of Schnellville was awarded the American Red Cross First Responders Hero Award during the Heroes Awards banquet held in Evansville. This award honors local heroes that have gone above and beyond to help those in need across the community. Mitchell began working part-time in Memorial Hospital and Healthcare Center's ambulance services in June of 1999 as a basic emergency medical technician. A year later, he was at it full-time. As recommendations for national standards of emergency medical services were adopted statewide, Mitchell helped initiate the first paramedic training and operational program at Memorial. Mitchell is a paramedic and firefighter with the Schnellville Volunteer Fire Department. He assists with Fire Prevention Week at Pine Ridge Elementary School and serves on the Schnellville Centennial Food Committee. Mitchell currently serves as clinical manager of Memorial Hospital's ambulance services. He is currently working on his associate degree in management with plans to become a certified ambulance service manager. Finally tonight, we bring you our weekly presentation courtesy of Purdue Extension. Tonight, the Small Farm and Sustainable Agriculture team brings us a presentation on why soil health is important and practices you can use to improve the health of your soil.
Soil health is a very important part of our soil's resource. What we're really looking at is the overall condition of the soil. Is it suitable for plant growth? Is it in a condition that's good for environmental quality and water quality? And there are a lot of things that we can do to improve the overall conditions of our soils. Of course, there are inherent properties of the soil that are long-standing properties that we have no control over, like what is the material that the soil was made from, and what's the topography, and what's the climate. But there are things that we can improve, and that's what we're emphasizing when we talk about soil health.
You know, what I consider to be a productive soil is a soil where you have, high organic matter content, lots of residue on the soil surface. Maybe you've used cover crops. You have a wealth of macroinvertebrates in the soil, including earthworms as well as microorganisms. And that's what I would consider a very productive type of soil.
By having cover crops, the roots are growing into the soil. They are helping aggregate the soil. They are enmeshing the soil particles. They're feeding the soil microorganisms because roots are always leaking carbon compounds into the soil. And it's really the soil organisms that make the soil aggregates.
And there's a lot more that goes on with organic matter than people think. And it has a lot to do with the microorganisms that are present in the soil that actually play a very big role in aggregate stability.
Every time you do any kind of a tillage activity on your soil, you're doing a number of things. You're breaking down the soil structure. You're making it more open to oxygen to break down organic matter that's in the soil. Disruption to any kind of microorganisms or larger organisms, even from the standpoint of earthworms and that kind of thing.
A little bit of tillage is not necessarily bad, but excessive tillage really does a lot more harm than good to our soils, and it tends to feed itself. So if we do tillage then we end up doing compaction underneath the tilled layer, and then the next year or the next season we have to till deeper or more aggressively to break up that compaction layer. So one of the things we try to encourage people to do is till as little as possible.
Doing no-till types of practice or conservation tillage types of practices are important things to do to actually increase the organic matter content of your soil.
No-till, we actually disturb the soil less, so we're not decomposing the organic matter that's in the soil as rapidly as we do when we're doing tillage.
But even if you have a soil that looks fairly good, there's always room for improvement. And some people even refer to it as their annuity, where more organic matter content, healthier soil will pay off on down the road.
We have a new project that's really just starting on soil health, and it's going to be going on for at least the next 3 years. We have 4 regional hubs in the state where we will be focusing training, research, and outreach directly to farmers. But soil health, I think, is going to be a major emphasis over the next several years among all conservation agencies, and so I would encourage people to learn more about it and to realize that there can be big benefits for them in their production system, and there will be a lot of opportunity to learn more about it over the next several years.
Once again, our video this evening was brought to you courtesy of Purdue Extension. Coming up after the break, calmer evenings with less severe weather. More on that in your local forecast, sports with Kurt Buchsel, and Inform featuring Celestine Street Fest committee member Cheryl Schnell. That's all up next here on 18 WJTS News. Local people watching local people.